Welcome to the grid. I'm Mike, and that's Erik Kuna.
This week on the grid, we all go all Hollywood with motion picture and television still photographer Mike Kubeisy as we talk about taking control of tricky photo situations. Plus, we'll hear from Tom Cross and Ryan Chylinski on how to deal with similar situations for photographing rocket launches. And we're announcing the winner of the gallery at KelbyOne. And it all starts right now.
The Grid is brought to you by Tamron. Check out their new 28 to 75 millimeter f2.8 Di3 RXD lens for Sony full-frame mirrorless cameras. It's setting a new trend for mirrorless. Check it out at tamron-usa.com. And Westcott, check out their new Rapid Box switch. It has 9 light modifiers and 13 quick swap light inserts. Check it out right now at fjwestcott.com. And ProPhoto, the light shaping company. Enter to win a ProPhoto B1X, ProPhoto Air Remote of your preferred camera brand, and a ProPhoto Soft Light Reflector. It's a total value of over $2,800. All you have to do is enter at bit.ly/winProPhoto, all one word. And Platypod, the flat tripod base that's perfect for low angles and getting in weird places. And yes, we'll be giving one away today, right here on The Grid.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another, this is a Hollywood episode of The Grid.
Hollywood, going Hollywood here.
Going Hollywood on this episode. So we have Mike Kubeisy in the studio. Mike,
Hi,
great
Erik.
to see you. Yeah.
Man, nice to be seen by you, buddy. I'm glad to be here finally.
It's been a long time. I think I saw you about 30
month
days ago.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in
Photoshop
Orlando.
world. Yeah.
Good.
So what we're talking about today, like I said in the intro, we're talking about taking control of tricky photo situations. So we wanted to discuss the topic of, a lot of us, and I think this applies to a lot of people in a lot of different genres, that how do you get this shot when you don't have total control?
Right.
And this is something I know you deal with a lot.
All the time.
So thinking about it, you could think about from a wedding shooter, a wedding where, you don't get to pick the time, you don't get to pick the location where you're shooting. In your case, you're on a production, you're given restrictions on time, location, talent. How do you deal with covering an event like that?
That's right.
With me, I have to cover an event. I get what I get, whatever time it is, what the lighting situations is. So basically, how do we deal with those situations? As well, we have a segment from Tom Cross and Ryan Chylinski, which they're rocket photographers as well.
Wow, nice.
And they're going to talk about the same topic.
The challenges.
Yeah. So
rockets, absolutely.
before we get into the topic, we do have to, just cover some business here. We do have a giveaway at the end of the show. We have 3 things to give away. First one here is from Victoria Pavlov.
Victoria.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Victoria is giving away, and let me just bring up her site real quick so you can see it. This is Victoria. She does a lot of photo painting and stuff. She is giving away an hour one-on-one lesson with somebody, one of the Grid members. So
wow, that's fantastic.
You want to win that.
Yeah.
Then we also have from Lens Pro to Go, which these guys rent pretty much everything.
Sure.
$50 gift card. And then from Platypod, we have the Platypod Ultra, which this thing is, I use this all the time.
These are great.
You use this now, don't you?
I'm just now starting to use it. I honestly, I'll confess, I was against it. I'm like, what do I need this for? When in Hollywood, we have these things called baby plates.
Right.
And then I have the baby plate, which is sturdy, and then I would put a C-stand grip head on top of that with a 1/4-20, which is the thread that goes under your camera, and then the pin that would go in that grip head. It's like, why do I need this when I have that? But this has so many other capabilities. You can strap this to a tree easy and conveniently. You know what? I'm a Platypod. I'm the guy, man. I'm digging this Platypod, and I'm going to be posting a lot of pictures on the set using the Platypod. So the doctor convinced me, and he's got a great product, and you can win one.
And I forgot to mention that we probably have lost our audience in both England and Croatia, because right now they're in the 100th minute tied. So
oh, no.
We definitely lost the English and Croatian audience today on the grid.
Wow.
But we do have some people here on the grid. We've got Marco from rainy Slovenia saying hi. D. Johnson Smith from Missouri saying hi.
My brother from another mother, Vanelli. Nice.
There's Vanelli.
Hey, buddy.
Kubesiy rocks.
That's it. Yeah.
So Tom S., San Fernando Valley. Kevin Scott saying hey from Wisconsin. And John all the way from Pasadena, which you notice we do not have people from England, which we usually have people from England. I know where they are.
Yeah, I don't.
Yes, I know where they are.
You don't think there's a second monitor there? No. Hey, the San Fernando Valley. I grew up in the San Fernando Valley. That's a good thing.
So, yeah. So, the other thing is why Scott's not here. Obviously, we see that, right?
Exactly.
So he's at a seminar right now, and he has another seminar next month in D.C. So if you're in the D.C. area, it's August 17th. So in the D.C. area, if you go to KelbyOneLive.com, you can register right there.
Is there a chance he's watching, or he's teaching?
I imagine he's teaching right now.
Okay.
I mean, unless he stopped his class to watch this.
Yeah, I doubt it.
I doubt it.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah. So I want to jump into the topic, get right to it, because we're going to go into the topic. Then we're going to get the Rocket Guy's perspective on it, and then come back. But before we get into the topic, I kind of want to talk a little bit about you, so they know about who you are, give them some context. So I know that you started back. You're a Hollywood, like we said in the beginning. You shoot motion pictures and television stills.
Correct.
Yeah, and you started on NCIS. Well, it started long before that, but NCIS in 2003, right?
Monday. This is live, yeah. So this coming Monday, we start our 16th season. 16th season. I've lasted longer on that show than most Hollywood marriages.
I know, right?
I mean, it's crazy. Who would have ever thought? But yeah, no, I started way back when professionally shooting for Wheel of Fortune.
Yep.
And then started doing movies and other TV shows. I did the whole CSI, thing, and then the NCISs, different acronyms, different shows. A lot of great people.
In that genre, though.
In that that whole genre, which seems to be hot.
And you're a trainer for KelbyOne.
And
you do
yes,
training
I
for
am a
KelbyOne?
trainer for KelbyOne, and kind of what we're going to talk about.
And you're a member of the International Cinematographers Guild.
Yeah, you got to have that union card to get on those union sets. Absolutely.
So, talking about our subject, so when you're on a set, how does that work? How does it work on a set so we can understand the context of how you shoot, how you operate?
Right. I do two different things. One, I shoot promotional stills of the movie, of the TV show. So while they're filming, I'm shooting. And I wouldn't be wearing a loud shirt. I would be dressed in black. I'd ninja myself out the best I can. And in one of the topics we're talking about is preparation. I need to watch them block the set so that when I shoot, I know what's going to happen, what the different actors are going to do, so that I can shoot the stills that are going to then be used to promote and publicize the movie. This year, I've got 2 movie posters out, and man, that's exciting stuff.
Oh, I'm sure, right? Seeing your work like out
On
there
a
on the poster.
Yeah, I mean, sure, there's always stuff, that you'll see in the local magazines and things online for social media. But when you hit that poster, that's pretty cool. But again, you have to prepare, and you have to be quiet. You're shooting. Nowadays, you're shooting mirrorless. Back in the day, you would have a blimp, which is a casing that would go around the camera to soundproof it. So they didn't want to hear the click, 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 because then the audio guys would kill you. And one of the things Eric and I were talking about, you can't shoot the rehearsal, because usually when they're rehearsing, they might have the script in their hand, and then they don't have.
Well, they're not show ready, right?
They're not show ready. They don't have the right before they start to roll. They'll yell out "last look," so hair and makeup will come out, and sometimes they're not prepared, so you can't shoot the rehearsal. So you have to be ready to shoot the scene, and when they're blocking it, you're trying to see where's the dolly going. The dolly isn't stationary, otherwise it would be on a tripod. So you got to figure out where it's going. Maybe the first part of the scene you can't shoot from this particular angle, but then the dolly will move, and then it opens the whole thing up, and you can get your shot. So it's knowing what's going on the set. You just can't walk into it. So you're always on the set, watching and seeing how they're blocking it and doing it.
Now, so that brings us a good point. So one of the big things we were talking about with when you're not in control, and tips to help you, one for everybody is that, like you just talked about, prep work.
Oh,
So when
it's
you're
all
out doing the, you're not shooting the blocking and the rehearsals.
No.
But are you prepping for
Absolutely.
that shoot? So
do I have the right lens on? Is this what I want? Do I want to shoot low? Do I want to shoot high? Do I have to shoot low or shoot high? There was an instance. Well, it happens all the time, but there was an instance we were shooting an explosion on Pretty Little Liars, and the camera was going to end up dollying right where I wanted to be before it went boom. So I ended up going up on a 6-step ladder. So when the dolly came in front of me, I was above it. So when the house went kaboom, I had a great shot. I had to make sure I was secure on the ladder because there's a concussion and a heat wave that comes at you. I'm always safe because they look for that, but you never know. You know, a little too much fuel and
yeah.
you know, you're never in danger, but you got to be prepared for it.
But the point being there is like, and that applies to a lot of things. You know, landscape. You know, planning on what location you're going to be at. Maybe scouting your location. So
Absolutely.
you were scouting to know.
Yeah,
Hey, I need to be up
Right.
because
That
this guy's going to block my shot.
Exactly,
you know?
and that's
Yeah.
what you have to be on it. It's not. I mean, though, you know, you think you're hanging out at craft services eating the licorice, but no. You got to be on the set and you got to watch what's going. It's almost like a football game. You got to know what the play is. You got your playbook, what they're going to do, how they're going to do, who's going to be where at what time, and it's that kind of a thing.
Let me ask you. This is a good question. Do they ever run the scene just for stills?
They do. It's
Yeah.
rare. I just came back from working on a movie, and we were shooting in confined spaces, and there just wasn't room for me. And you have to go to the assistant director and say, listen, this is a big scene, an emotional scene, a powerful scene. I need this shot. I don't need the whole thing, but I just need, you know, a couple segments. And if you approach it kindly, the actors are cool with it. You're not having an attitude.
But that's not traditional.
No.
Okay.
No. You're shooting while they're shooting because, sorry, you got to get the shot.
Yeah, exactly.
The movie I just finished, the AD, great guy. He says you get one a week because you're holding up the production. You're holding up 100 people for one person. But I always tell them, guys, they're not going to be able to see the movie if I don't promote it. If you don't have the picture to promote it, how are you going to know to go to the movie? So,
Yes, but sometimes we
I know.
as photographers can be second-class citizens.
Oh,
as
no,
you
we
know.
are. Exactly. That's why kind of having a little meat and potatoes on you.
Yeah.
You just stand from and listen, I'm bigger than you are, man. You know.
Yeah. We do have to go to a break, and then we'll be back with Mike to continue this topic. But before we go to break, we got a couple people just saying hi. We got Martin from Slovakia. We have Richard from Ireland saying, go Croatia. So Mikkel from Denmark. Elena from Alberta, Canada, and Peter from Melbourne. So
nice.
we definitely got some international. But again, like I said, I have not seen anybody from England
Not yet.
at all. So just
Closest
saying.
is Ireland.
We do have one question, but I think we'll have to take that after break because we need to go to a break. But we'll be right back. We're going to go to a break. Then we're going to go to a segment with Tom and Ryan, and then we'll be back here with Mike.
Bring in your questions.
Yeah,
Good.
ask us anything.
We got this.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by B&H Photo, the professional source since 1973.
Well, hey guys, we're back here on the grid, and I've got some rocket guests here with us. I have Tom Cross and Ryan Chylinski.
Okay, which one do you want to get?
We know each other from shooting over at NASA, right? Yeah. So we've been shooting together for a while. I wanted to bring them on, talk about the topic we're talking about today, and specifically how to deal with those challenging situations, sometimes that are beyond your control, on an assignment or on a photo shoot. And how do we deal with those things? I think this topic applies even outside of rocket photography to pretty much any genre where you're shooting something that's beyond your control, wedding, a lot of times portraits with high-profile clients, stuff like that, stuff where it's something that's beyond your control. But before we get into that, I know I want to just share a little bit about your guys' work. So, Tom and you're over on Instagram. You're on there a lot. So it's _Tom.cross_, right?
That's right.
Yep. And you can see like Tom's got tons of stuff over here. That was the launch we were just at. There's some stuff. Tom is really awesome at these detail shots. If you ever want to see like detail of the rockets and all that stuff, he's definitely got a lot of stuff on that. And then Ryan, you are over at Science Tripper.
That's me.
So that's you. There you go. So Ryan does some crazy stuff. Actually, you just got on the cover of a magazine right there. Yeah, with that Falcon shot, right? Falcon Heavy.
You bet.
But Ryan does these awesome video stuff too, and you do these slow motion things, which are just incredible.
Yeah, I've been weaving together my love of time lapse and high speed video and creating these sort of experience moments. Yep.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I would tell you, this stuff is it's so cool because you can see the actual shock waves of like the rocket and stuff coming up through. I mean, I think you're shooting, how many frames per second are you shooting
500
at?
here.
Yeah, 500, crazy. All right, so, but just, now getting back to the topic here, talking about how do we deal with these challenging situations. One thing with the genre that we shoot, a lot of times we have to deal with the cards that are dealt, be it what's the lighting going to be like at the time, how much time do you have on the pad, where are they going to let you set up between here and here, how many locations, and you have some stories or some help for people. So why don't you share a story that to help people with dealing with that situation?
Yeah, so thunderstorms are a daily occurrence out here. And, so we had to wait on the bus out at one of the launch pads for the lightning to clear during the time that we had to set up our cameras on the launch pad. And everything is meticulously planned, and they're not going to extend any time to make up for the lost time on the bus. So we were waiting on this bus for an hour, and waiting on the lightning to clear, waiting for that clearance. And then 15 minutes before our time was up, they said, okay, everybody on the bus, you have 15 minutes, set up what you can. That's all we're doing. So
So it went from like an hour setup to 15 minutes.
Yeah, and you're thinking priority, I got to get a shot that works.
Yeah.
You know what's going to work, just a basic frame setup, and make sure you got all your settings. You knock on your box, make sure your trigger's firing. It's back on the bus again. Maybe a few shots of the rockets while you're there, but
yeah, because good point. We're all covering for news agencies,
exactly.
So we have to they need a shot, you know. So no matter what, we have to deal with that. So while you're on the bus, were you starting to formulate a plan of attack? Because I know I do the same thing. It's like if we're getting cut down, okay, what's going to be my priority? So what were you doing on the bus?
Well, my priority was just get a wide angle and drop the camera. That was an experiment. Don't run too close to the fence searching for a composition that's going to work, that's going to be really cool and fresh and new. There was no time for that. It's just stick with what you know is going to work to produce that image. Yeah, and
so it was kind of like on the fly, you're kind of adjusting what you're doing. And then another thing that I know, Ryan, you were talking about that I think you could touch on is dealing with this is something that helps all of us and helps anybody that's on assignment or in these time crunch moments is planning. So what can you speak to about that?
Yeah, and the primary secondary mission aspect is critical. But I've found that if you can do as much planning and testing ahead of time, then you can work your way down a longer list of shots. So Tom mentioned kind of a box setup, and that's what we usually utilize as launch photographers. So we sort of build a set system in advance, and then we can just carry that box out into the field, place it. It's got a sound trigger, it's got external batteries potentially. Everything is sort of a contained system. And if you do that extra setup and planning ahead of time, there's less scramble in the field, and you can sort of do a real world simulation as well. So you can say, hey, I'm just going to set this box up in my living room for 10 hours. That might simulate the delay between when we're allowed to set up the camera and when the launch would occur. And then, come back 10 hours later. How are my battery levels? Is the sound trigger still operating within the tolerances that I've set? And am I going to get what I think I'm going to get? And then, there's always some spontaneity sort of in the field that you have to work with. But eventually, you sort of just let go. Like you set your items in the field, like we were talking about. And once you're on the bus, there's nothing else you can do at that point. You can't go back and reset a cable or change a sound trigger sensitivity. So there's that anxiety that you sort of deal with. But it's part of the adrenaline. It's kind of part of the allure of the work that we do.
Sometimes you hope for a scrub because you're like, I gotta check that.
That's worked that way sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that's one thing. Obviously getting into the genre and all that and all the stuff around it. That was one of the things that really it was very stressful, but something that I like to embrace. Is that high pace, it's like you only have a certain amount of window to get stuff done. Now, with that said, like Brian, like you were saying, I know we all plan and we all make sure that everything's tested out beforehand, everything's ready to go, so that way when we get out there, it isn't a mystery. Because I think that can apply for a lot of people. If you're a wedding photographer and you're going out to a location, like the reason a lot of the wedding photographers in your area probably are getting the shots that are just those epic shots is they've been going to do it and they know that location so well and they plan because we don't get to pick the time the bride decides to get married. We don't get to pick the time the launch happens. Well, we don't get to pick the time when they say, hey, we're going to, sometimes you're working a high-profile client, and they're just like, you've got 5 minutes with them on set. Go for it. That's what you got. So a lot of it is planning and preparation, And we actually just had a shot that all three of us worked on where we kind of took this up a notch, right? So we went into it with the intent of planning and of shooting a launch. So we actually went and shot three Teslas and the rocket streaking through. We used light painting techniques to light it because we knew it would be dark, and then we exposed the streak shot. What was interesting about it is the amount of planning that went into this from all of us. I mean, we were planning this for how long? At least 3-4 weeks? Yeah. And like the idea had been kind of marinating, and we knew that this launch would be special. We knew this launch would be special. But Ryan, I know you can speak to, you actually, so we were in different locations. We were talking, and then you would go out and scout locations, right?
Yeah. Well, there's only so much you can glean from the satellite photos that you're working with. And, you can get a lot of planning done that way. But just to be there on the ground, especially the shot that we were constructing, we needed a certain amount of space. We needed the ground to be level as much as possible. We needed all the angles to work out with sunrise, with the launch itself, and the trajectory after launch. Plus, it was a public space, so we needed to sort of understand the crowd situation and how was that, or at least predict how that was going to play out in the next couple weeks. So being on the ground was helpful, and then because we went through several different locations, and some were just we were sure that it was going to be a good spot, and then when we actually went there, it was just obvious that it was not going to work. Right. So that was helpful.
Oh yeah. Well, and you brought up a good point of like we started with trajectories, so it was all looking at okay, what locations would work to make a streak go across the frame. One, because we couldn't just have it go out. We had to have it go across the frame. We had to pick a location that would have the pad behind it at a certain angle because we wanted the actual streak to come out of a certain car. We wanted it to come out of the S and go over the 3 into the X. You know, so we had to find, so we were locked into a few locations, but we had to go out there and do all that legwork to make that happen. So, so Tom, like with this shot, I mean, what do you think was the most challenging thing?
Definitely placing the cars.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we spent 4 hours one night doing different compositions. We went in there.
The one night meaning the night before.
The night before.
3 a.m. Was that
Exactly.
3 a.m.
the night
start
before,
time? Yeah,
right?
the meetup time.
From 3 to 7 or something. And then we had to rush over to the Space Center for our media stuff. But placing the cars, and what's funny is the Model 3 wasn't there yet, and we had to use my vehicle, my box van, for work. And once we knew that the image looked awesome with the van, we knew we had it. That was good.
That was it. Yeah, that was the turning point. Yeah, when we had that, we were like, yeah, if it looks good with that box van, well, it's gonna look awesome when we pull that 3 in there.
It did.
So, but so we did do, we had worked on, we did a lot of light painting. So one of the things that we used for the light painting was the ice light from Westcott. So we used this.
It's a wonderful light.
Yeah, so we mounted this to a monopod, put on their barn doors, and then we actually had to tape up the barn doors more because there was a little light leak and stuff. But it was really, I mean, this was really cool to use for this shoot. And,
just one light did all those cars.
Yeah, so one light, and it was just going around.
And it looks like a studio.
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's actually, that's what we were just talking about before, is we kind of have to tweak now. So you're watching this. We're filming this before, so we're filming this the week before, for the grid. And we have not yet finalized the image. So the image you're seeing, probably not final yet, but it's pretty close to final. And we've got a couple variations, like we've got one with natural light, where it's just natural light, and then one where we kind of did a silhouetted look, So we're working on it, but the light painting version is the version so far that I'm in love with. And that was really cool. I mean, it was really cool to, be able to paint with the light. Very interesting. And then now, Ryan, you shot a lot of behind the scenes footage and a lot of video footage of it as well.
Yeah. So I tried to just capture as much of the morning as I could, and the lighting that you guys were doing. I think, Tom was operating the cameras.
So I think they have a time lapse of it, and then we can talk over it. So yeah, there's us like light painting the whole car,
I'm manning the cameras with the remotes.
Yeah, I'm just running around, capturing as much video, set up this time-lapse station, set up a couple still video, or locked-off video
there's
stations.
There's the boat that came by. That was the Disney boat that we were worried about.
That was another thing we had to plan on, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and we can't really, we don't have enough time to go into all the detail about it, but that was what was cool is, we did have we even had to check the port schedule to see when the boats were coming in and stuff like that. So I know we are going to do, we're doing a lot more of releasing this stuff on social media. So I think if you just follow all 3 of us, you could definitely hear more about this project, see more pictures from it, see the final pictures from it, which we are releasing on July 12th, so it'd be the day after this grid releases. But yeah, so from there, if they want to know more about you guys, follow you guys, is it best to go to Instagram?
Yeah.
Anywhere else?
Best place for me. LearnTimeLapse.com is a website I manage as well. So those 2 spots.
Yeah, so that's where you're doing all your time-lapse stuff.
You got it. Yep.
Yeah. And how about you?
For me, it's my Instagram account. I try to do a daily rocket image, and also TeslaRotty.com. I do a blog there, and we are up to date on all of the SpaceX and Tesla news and everything Elon Musk is up to.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are like on top of like all the. If you're like, that's one of my bookmark sites, because that's like between SpaceX and Tesla, just love that stuff. So
thanks.
As long as they put in Disney Cruise and Amazon in there, I'll be set. So well, guys, thanks for coming on, thanks for sharing. And if we want to see more of this stuff, and maybe in the future we could have him back on. So just let us know. All right, see you guys.
It's been a lot of fun. Thanks.
Bye.
I think that there's a perception about the difficulty of printing and that it's hard to get prints that you like out of your own printer. I think there's two things that accelerate a photographer's ability to be better: taking more photographs and printing their work. We create a bunch of reasons and excuses for why we don't print. It's too hard, it's too expensive, it's too technical. Just like anything else in photography, if you're not printing, there's probably just an excuse that is nothing more than an excuse for why you don't do it. Whatever your story is you're telling yourself, that we peel back that no matter what you're doing, you can actually print and get to that. There aren't any excuses that should keep you from printing. And I think with a few basic techniques and understanding of kind of what's going on, it's actually pretty easy to get a really good print that you can be proud of to hang on the wall. I'm Daniel Gregory. Come and check out my latest class on KelbyOne.com.
Compositing, especially doing this kind of family portraiture, is taking it to the next level. How do you make something impossible possible and believable? Compositing seems really hard. How do you make that look real? This is really about making something more imaginative. You're taking your imagination and turning that into the photograph. It's not that hard, especially when you're doing something like this class where it's all in frame. Then it becomes more about technique. You get variety, you overshoot more than you need. Then it becomes a formula of set steps where, okay, you make a basic selection, you paste in place, do some masking, and it's not using a whole lot of advanced tips to make things very seamless. So that's the idea behind this class, is making the impossible possible and making it really fun the entire time. I'm Brett Malley. Please come take a look at my latest class on compositing on KelbyOne.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Canon.
Hey, don't forget to subscribe to us on Apple's podcast app. We have an audio-only version as well as a regular version. So if you're in the car and you want to listen to us, just subscribe to the audio-only version. And we're back. All right, so we're back. We had that segment about the rocket guys kind of going through that same kind of scenario that you're going through here on set, just different situations.
Right.
And then you saw that image, that took a while to do.
Sure.
Yeah, actually, that's what a show. We filmed that about a week ago. We ended up kind of getting more towards these are our kind of two final shots we'll be releasing tomorrow.
Just amazing.
And we got other shots coming, just check it out. But so we wanted to get back to some questions. There's some questions that came in for you, Mike.
Okay.
That I wanted to ask. One was Tom S. He was asking, can you shoot the rehearsals just to verify your exposure settings for the actual shot?
Tom, yes, you can. Absolutely. We'll shoot the rehearsal, or I'll shoot the rehearsal. I'll make sure it's the lens that I want. I'm at the right exposure. And composition, you don't always want to center the talent in your frame. So I want to see where the actor's going, where the actor's going to end up, and make sure that's all dialed in too, so that when they say action, I know where they're going. I know what they're doing.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Dave R. is asking about remotes. He's saying, don't know if this is asked, but do you use remote cameras during shoots for TV shows?
It's rare. I have done it before when it's a lot of motion in the street. The main camera is moving in a car, and I might rig a camera on a remote, and you're just shooting kind of like what we were talking about. You don't know what you're going to get, what the frame's going to be. Maybe you get that one shot, but I don't specialize in it, and usually it doesn't require, or it hasn't required it yet.
And this Jocks is asking a question I think was interesting here about Nikon's silence. Is Nikon's silent shutter setting quiet enough, or do you use the things that they do for golf?
It is not quiet enough. As a matter of fact, when the 800D, is that what the D800? I'm a Canon shooter.
850 now.
Okay, but before
810,
that,
and then 800.
The 800, when the 800 first came out, in the blimp, which is I believe what he's referring to when they shoot golf, in the blimp, it was still noisy. I know a couple guys who bought the bodies. Oh yeah, we got the new Nikon. They go to the set and it's like, no, we're hearing it. And I'm like, well, are you kidding me? You just wasted all that money. So they had to sell it. But yeah, no, the silent mode from the manufacturer.
And what
No
you're
bueno.
talking about is back in the day, you used to have to encase your camera
Right.
in
A blimp.
Basically, it's a sound isolator that would just take all the sound out so you wouldn't hear anything, right?
Unbelievable. Yeah, and actually pending, you would have this box that encapsulated the camera, and then you would have a tube that went over the lens. And if it was a zoom that didn't have internal zooming or internal focusing, and you have to pull in and out, if you were extended, the tube would go to its limits, and you can actually start to hear a little bit of sound. So then we would get black duvetine from the grips and wrap that up.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know what? This old dog holding those big old blimps, man, that just was not no good. It's carpal tunnel syndrome, and they're bulky, and mirrorless is very cool. That's the way to go.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, I want to get back, forced to get to some more questions. I want to get back to the topic at hand, because we were talking about, with the tricky situations, and in your situation, dealing with the onset photography. How do you deal with time crunches? I know one thing we talked about is, you leverage stand-ins and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, no, that's the case. When you're bringing in this actress strictly for a still shoot, you don't get 10 minutes. You get 2 minutes. You might get 1 minute. So you'll get in there an hour or two beforehand, figure out where the shot's going to be if it's not on the working set. And then you'll have the stand-in, and the stand-ins are all usually the same height, same skin color. Hopefully they have the same wardrobe on. And you'll prep an hour before for as long as it takes to get that shot lined up. And then when they say, okay, you've got her, you'll take the actress and you'll either stand her on the set where you're shooting, or the company where the crew is shooting, and you'll knock off a couple frames, or you'll take her to your designated set with your strobes or whatever you're going to use to light, and you knock it out. And there was one story, I won't mention the actress's name. I set the shot dictated by the part in her hair. So if the part was here and she turned this way, the hair wouldn't cover her eyes. So I set this shot up, I got it lighted and all dialed in, and they warned me. They said, you're not going to get many frames. Okay. She shows up on the set and she turns the other way, and I'm like, excuse me, can you turn this way? I set it up this way. Shoot it. This is the way this is me. And you're looking at her like, girlfriend, I'm trying to make you look good. I want to. Let's work together.
Yeah.
Nope, shoot it. Boom, boom, boom. And then she didn't even say thank you or preparation.
It's like that with prep, right?
It's exactly. It's all preparation. It's like that Disney ship you were talking about.
Yeah.
Man. But anyway, she didn't say thank you. And she walked off the set. And I'm like, wow. But I will tell you this. As of today, she's not working, and I am.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you
But
go.
it's prep. It's
It's a lot of prep, and so
yeah.
that applies to a lot. I think a lot
Everything.
of people could benefit from this right there is prepping. I know for that shoot we were just looking at, so we actually went out the night before hand and ran through the whole shoot.
Right.
We didn't have one of the cars because we had to get all these cars, and that was weeks of trying to get who can we get and who can we find. One of the cars couldn't come the day before for a prep shoot, so we had one of our cars stand in.
Yeah.
So we knew if it looked good with one of our cars,
Right.
it was going to look really good with that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Prep.
But
It's
yeah,
all about prep.
it's like that with a wedding or portrait session. If you're going out, go, grab some buddies, do some test shots, even if it's not the same exact person or even having a stand-in like you have.
Right.
Just getting that dialed in closer to where
Absolutely.
you're gonna be.
Absolutely.
So that way, when the moment does come, you've cut down on that that time that you need to prepare.
And you're also familiar with what's going to go on.
Yep.
Yeah, no, the rocks are here. This is here. This is going to happen here. The sun's going to go here. And
Well, that's a good point. You're talking about the sun.
Right.
You use some
seeker.
tools
Yeah.
to help you out with that, because a lot of times you're on set and
Right.
you're on set at way before the time when you're actually going to shoot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So what do you do there?
We need, well, there's photo pills, there's Sunseeker, and you use the app and it shows you where the sun's going to be, because you might start prepping and the sun is in the early sky and you're not going to shoot till late in the afternoon.
Right.
But again, you got to prep. You can't, well, I don't know which way to turn. The sun's going to be behind her in front. No way. Get the app out, dial it in. She's going to stand here. Light's going to come this way. We're going to bounce it in this way. It's going to be a beautiful thing. But again, it's prepping. It's knowing what to do. You have all this information available to you. You know, I hate to say, a lot of people are just lazy. They don't think about it. And then when they get on the set and there's all these things going on, and they crash and burn. And it's like, guys, come on, really? Don't make. You're being paid a good wage. You're expected to bring your A game, and you're not prepared. That's a good way to get fired or not called back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we did just get an announcement in. Croatia won.
Oh,
So just so everybody's watching it live, Croatia won. I doubt that we're going to pick up the England audience anyway.
That's right.
At this point,
Wow.
they're probably drowning in some sorrows right now. But Cheeky Nando just let us know Croatia won.
Wow.
So we do have to take a break in just a second. And we had a question from Chris that I'll answer real quick. But before then, I know you wanted to talk about, tell us, how does checklist work for you?
Checklist is great. It's embedded in my head. I have a routine. I've had the same routine for many years. My wife knows, now my boys know, don't bother me when I'm prepping, because in my head it's like, okay, you're going to do this shoot. You're going to need 3 lights. You're going to need 3 strobe heads. Okay, I got 3 strobe heads. I'm looking at 3 strobe heads. What are those heads going to go on? 3 stands. Okay, I got 3 stands. Or maybe I got 2 stands and a boom. Does that boom have a sandbag? Do the stands have sandbags? Okay, now those heads.
So you're walking through all
I
the
walked
scenarios.
through the whole thing in my head with backup.
And you know what? Let's save the backup for when we come back from break, because I know you got a story about
And it
about
just
that.
happened on NCIS.
So,
Yes.
So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and if you got any questions for Mike, any questions for us, just ask them on the break.
Bring it on.
And we'll see you guys in just a few minutes.
Yes.
I don't think printing has ever been more important than it is today. I think people are surprised by the power of Lightroom's printing. From Lightroom 1.0, the first time I started printing in Lightroom and realized how powerful it is, I'd never printed in Photoshop again. I don't want people to get surprises when they get their print. I don't want them to look at it, I don't want it to look too dark. I don't want to have the colors off. I don't want to have it wrong. So I really focus on how to get predictable prints every single time. And it's really nuts and bolts. It takes you through all the things. We're going to talk about how to deal with banding, how to do soft proofing, the misconceptions, all this kind of stuff. And we're going to talk about sharpening. There's capture sharpening, creative sharpening, output sharpening. You got to do them all if you really want to get that legendary sharpness that you see in other people's prints. If you've never printed with Lightroom's print module, you are going to fall in love with it. This class is going to take you from beginning to end and show you exactly how to make beautiful prints in Lightroom Classic.
Why is this class important? It's important because if you don't learn the business side of photography, then you're not going to excel.
What we're teaching is business basics. And so if you are a photographer, if you are an artist, if you have a desire to start a business in any way, this class is for you.
They wonder why they're not getting any clients and they're not marketing themselves. You have to learn who and the what and the why, and then you have to do the work and market yourself.
There are so many really, really talented artists that go out of business all the time, and they don't go out of business because they're not good at their art. They go out of business because they don't understand business. And so if you want to turn what you're doing into a career that is sustainable over the long term, you absolutely need to understand how to build a brand and then how to use that brand in your marketing and everything you do.
I think that this class is for anyone who wants to actually make this into something that's a real career. I'm Elena S. Blair.
And I'm Sandra Cohn.
And come check out our class on KelbyOne.com.
This segment of The Grid is brought to you by Platypod, the world's most compact tripod base.
Well, hey guys, we got a podcast on Apple, so we haven't told you about it enough. We're going to tell you about it again. It's subscribe to it on iTunes, and there's an audio-only version if you want to listen to it in the car, the train, bus, wherever you're at.
Get it?
All right, so we're back.
Yes.
Yep, we're back here, and so right before the break, we were talking about the checklist and going through equipment. But you talked about backup, having a backup. That's an important thing, to deal with these stressful situations.
Right.
Stuff happens. So let me know or tell me about that.
Well, you always want to have backup.
Right.
Especially a camera, when you can, a strobe head. Towards the end, the second to last day I shot on NCIS, we were shooting some portraits, and I had a hair light on a 10-foot stand shooting over a seamless. A model background. And so we were done. Strike, okay, that's a wrap. Well, I had a new grip working with me, and it was right out of the Three Stooges in the ladder gag. He took the bar from the seamless stand, and he swung it. And when he swung it, he hit my stand. And I'm watching in slow motion this strobe head. Poof, man, and it literally exploded. So my personality does not allow me to stay calm. So I knew, and it was an accident. Take a deep breath. They're going to cover it. And they did, and they replaced it. But the other thing is, I got to shoot it another day. I better have a backup.
Right.
I need a backup.
Because you'd be toast.
Right. And fortunately, I have enough, I have enough strobe heads where I have to go to the studio and get a backup. Or go rent one right away. Because you cannot be on the set at that caliber, not prepared if, God forbid, something happens. And it was an accident. I know, he won't do it again. He probably fired him. But no, I'm kidding.
Well, that's a good segue into another thing that you were talking about with dealing with those stressful situations is the topic of maturity.
Yes.
So I think that was a big one. So talk to us about that.
There was another situation I was in, and I know it drives Vanelli crazy, but at the caliber that we work at, you can't emphasize enough on preparation. It's not just like, Mike, come and do a shoot. Well, what do you want me to shoot? Tim Wallace teaches, ask questions. When you ask questions, you also show that you're a professional, because I've dealt with all these elements. Ask questions. So there's verbal communication, there's written communication, there's graphic communication, there's pictures drawn. I need this, it goes here. I need that, it goes. So you go through this whole process, and then when it comes to game day, and the equipment's not the correct equipment, it's not the right setup or anything like that. Now, again, when I'm in a good mood, I'm in a good mood. But when I'm disappointed and mad, it. And I knew, man, you got to find it and convey you're still in control. And that's difficult for me to do. But I know I have to do that for the crew and for the production. I was shooting Jill Hennessy on the show Crossing Jordan a few years ago. And I was shooting with a Nikon, and it wasn't focusing. Now I'm thinking, I'm shooting Jill Hennessy, the star of the show, and this camera's not working. What the heck's wrong? So I try a couple more things. All right, look cool. She's waiting. Come on, be good. I'm thinking, all right, you know what? Click it to manual focus. Let's try that. Boom. I was able, the camera would release, and I was able to take the picture. It's because I knew the camera. But again, she never saw me sweat, as it were, or panic, because you don't want to look like a knucklehead. And then on the other end of it, own it. If there's a problem, after you tried quickly to fix it, just okay, guys, you know what? I'm having a technical problem. It happens. Give me a few minutes. Let me try to repair it, fix it, figure it out, or bring in some other equipment because this thing isn't working right. And they may be frustrated, but they appreciate the fact that you're good to go. But you can't say, not going to happen. This doesn't work. So we'll have to do it tomorrow. Yeah, the door's going to hit you in the butt on the way out.
Yeah, that's your last shoot. Right?
That's it. You're done.
That was Mike's last.
That's it.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. So, kind of, so summing up, I think my takeaways from what you were saying, there are 5 things, that I think people who walk away with of dealing with these situations is plan what you can and when you can. practice beforehand. Is a big thing. Get to know the locations, the lighting, and the timing.
Yes.
Checklist, having checklists and backups.
Absolutely.
And then the final one, keeping your cool. So I think if people walked around with those five things from there, that would definitely help them with dealing with these stressful situations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you don't want to take the fun away. But
well, cool.
Yeah, it's good.
So we do have to. I just got to get through. We've got some announcements. We have a big announcement in that we've got the gallery winner.
Yes.
That we were going to announce. We also have to get to the prizes. But before we do that, so if they want to learn more about you, best place to go.
4 Stills, the numeral 4 and the word stills.
Yeah, and there's your website
and
right
that's
there.
my website right there with some of the pictures that I've taken.
So that's the place to contact you, to
Yeah,
figure out your
yeah,
Facebook,
they
your
can
Twitter,
find me on there.
all that Insta pages and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So
we do the best we can.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we got the gallery winner. Before we get there, there is something really cool happening next Tuesday, and that is for KelbyOne members. There is a members-only webcast. Scott's going to do how to build a Spark page from your vacation. So I don't know if you've seen Scott's Spark pages from his vacations.
I have, actually.
They're awesome, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to actually take KelbyOne members from start to finish.
Wonderful.
Through and he's actually telling everybody, bring 20 to 25 shots with you to the class, and we will walk through it together, and we'll walk out with a Spark page together. So that's next Tuesday, 12 p.m. So
be there.
If you're a KelbyOne member, tune into that.
Do it.
So before that, so now the gallery. So moving on to the gallery. So this is the gallery winner is somebody that actually people on the grid do know. He's been on the show because we found him, and people don't know, through the gallery.
Oh, nice.
So this guy was, we do this where we vote on the gallery. We have a panel of judges that vote. And they go through all the things, and we always have top 10, finalists, and those 10 finalists always carry over to the next final. So we'll have it so they roll over. So another finalist, Stephen Wallace, was actually in the finals both times before, and then ended up winning the third time. This guy has been in the finals constantly every time. Finally, he got it.
Congratulations.
So our winner this time is Ramton Consemi, and here's his website right here. I know some of you have seen it before, but he does this awesome landscape work. I mean, and just does some crazy post-processing, very dreamy look. It's got a look to it, right? So he's got a look. He's going to be doing. I can't wait to see these things printed out.
Yeah.
I mean, especially on those exposure prints from Bay Photo. I mean, it's just going to pop.
Congratulations.
Blow off the wall.
Wonderful.
So congratulations, Rami. He goes by Rami. So
Rami. Good job, Rami.
Congratulations to him. And
I can see you got up early in the morning to take these pictures, and you knew where to set up the camera because you did your prepping.
Oh yeah,
Good
definitely,
job,
right. He went through those. They went through those steps.
Wow.
I mean, this is insane, right?
Yeah.
Some of this stuff is just insane. I mean, wow. Anyways, it's going to be a cool show.
Good. Very
Can't
nice.
wait to hear about the stories behind it. Couple other things want to talk about before we leave. Dave Williams, who's a big fan of the show and an awesome travel photographer. He does some columns over on scottkelby.com, as well as doing stuff for KelbyOne and a KelbyOne instructor. He has a photo challenge going on right now. So what's cool is he has this, and if you go to scottkelby.com, he has this sunrise challenge going on through the 15th. So basically the way it works is if you, actually check out the details right here. And he has it that if you hashtag, which I just have to get to that. That's it. Sunrise with Dave. So if you hashtag Sunrise with Dave on a photo that you post to Instagram, you're automatically entered into the contest. Basically, you have the ability to win a Platypod, a KelbyOne membership, all that stuff. Just got to hashtag that, and it's basically upload your best sunrise photo.
Nice.
So just, hashtag that, upload it, and you for a chance to win. So we got that. Cool other announcements. We have a couple new classes. So Moose Peterson on KelbyOne came out. He did one of the interview series, which I think you just did today,
Yes,
right? Yeah.
that's right.
So the personal side with Moose is up on the site. So that just went up this week. So go check it out if you're a KelbyOne member.
I just saw it. I watched it like 2:30 this morning.
Right.
Because I'm like, what is she going to ask me? What are we going to do here?
You're doing some prep, huh?
Yeah, I was prepping, exactly,
And then Elena Blair and Sandra Cohn came out with a class that's really cool for family photographers on pro tips for growing your family photography business. So if you're into family photography, new class up there. And finally, with the contest. So like I was saying, we got the contest. This week we have the prize from Victoria Pavlov. We have Lens Pro to Go. And we have the Platypod. All you have to do to enter is go to this webcast contest form here at it's KelbyOne.com/contest. You fill out the form and then tell us that you are not a robot. And in the comments, make sure you leave which one you want to win. I want to win Victoria's one-on-one training. I want to win the Lens Pro to Go or the Platypod. We'll select any winner, or we'll select a winner anywhere around the world and send it to them because, as Scott says, we're loose with money.
Ooh,
So,
I love that.
yeah. So, takeaways again from the show. I think we got those 5 takeaways that I'd like to just go through again. Planning what you can and when you can. Practicing beforehand.
Right.
Getting to know the location, lighting, and timing. The apps again that you use.
Sunseeker.
Yep. And
Photo pills.
And I use photo pills a lot for my stuff too, as well. Developing checklists and backups, and then keeping your cool.
Right.
So,
you gotta stay together because as a photographer, I find many times you're in charge. Mm-hmm. And if you go down, the ship goes down.
Right.
And if you're good and it's all going good, you're gonna come back. Everybody's gonna be happy. Mm-hmm. I'm always saying take care of your crew, but if you crash and burn, I'm always telling Vanelli, dude, if you were the pilot of the plane, we'd all be dead when he makes mistakes.
But that's why pilots always have checklists.
That's right.
So yep, definitely.
Lesson to learn.
Well, guys, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And Mike, it's been a pleasure. Yeah,
thanks.
definitely. Yeah,
Thanks,
that's been awesome. So, go check out his work over there, his
Please.
website, and we'll see you guys next week here on the grid.
Right. Thanks.
Subscribe on iTunes.
iTunes.